Join Forum for the final third in the series responding to the UN's climate change report. We've talked about science and what the city of St. Paul is doing. Now we're going to talk about what you can do to make your home a better fit in the 21st century. Our guest will be Danielle Hauck from the Center for Energy and Environment. She'll come with technical and financial resources. I'm Heyl. I do design build, principally residential remodeling. My company lives and dies by the proposition, something is beautiful if and only if it's sustainable. This program is the third in a three-segment arc inspired by the report issued in August by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The first third of the arc was about climate science. Forum's guest was Dr. Kenneth Blumenfeld. We heard that in the next few decades, Minnesota will learn to deal with hotter summers and heavier rainfall. Storms will be more violent. Farmers will contend with different insects and plant different crops. The second third is what St. Paul is doing about climate change. Forum's guest was Russ Stark, Chief Resilience Officer for the City of St. Paul. He introduced us to the Sustainability and Resilience Plan. He talked about how citizens can serve on an advisory board implementing that plan. It's holistic, inclusive, and equitable. For me, the natural response to climate change is to be overwhelmed. It's easy to see a pipeline built from Lake Superior to Lake Mead to keep the generators in Hoover Dam turning. How to overwhelm the feeling of being overwhelmed. The music which begins and ends each of the three episodes in this climate change arc is the Moldau by Smetana. The recording is by the Minnesota Orchestra. First, we hear creeks and snowmelt in the mountains of the Bohemian forest. Then we flow through the Czech countryside and finally swell to the river Moldau, creating the city of Prague. The river becomes a metaphor. A lone individual trying to lessen climate change is absurd, tragic, pathetic. But if that individual acts in concert with billions of other brothers and sisters, then the micro-tributaries become a mighty river of change, changing climate change. A group of like-minded souls here in St. Paul and in Minneapolis are not overwhelmed. Day after day, they create a healthier future. They're guided by the river, not the rivulet. Who are they? The Center for Energy and Environment. In 2020, they served over 8,000 homes and businesses through various programs. They partnered with 32 Midwest cities and 24 Twin City neighborhoods. They made over $18 million in energy improvement loans. Forum's guest today is Danielle Hauck. Her tributary is as CEE's Customer Engagement Manager. Hello, Danielle, and welcome to Forum.
Thank you.
And now an aside about what goes on behind the curtains when we're not recording. Danielle and I had a brief phone call before the show, and it's called a pre-production interview where we just talk about what we're going to say and how we're going to say it, make sure we cover all the points, and are quite literally on the same page. So you said something about your education, what intrigues me, and I'm wondering if you could share. I'm interested to know a little sense of your journey from peace studies to environmental studies at the College of St. Benedict.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that. So I studied both peace studies and environmental studies, and the thing that became very clear to me at the end of my time in school was that the two are definitely related. And you know, the environment is something we all share. That is not my own idea. That is a well thought out concept. But resources are something we get from the environment. And so when we talk about resources, it is a way of talking about how we are connected to the environment. Resources often come in the form of energy, whether that's from the sun or from coal or natural gas, water. So it's a neat way to talk about the way we are connected via the environment and via energy consumption. So,
and when you say connection, tell me more what you mean about what kind of connection.
Yeah, what I mean is we understand how we are related and how we get along, or maybe how we don't, because we are not in conflict for resources from the environment. And there's definitely a connection between people's perceived or actual need for resources or competition for resources and the way they relate to other humans.
I've been asking all the guests this
Sure.
because you obviously make a strong contribution professionally. But after you stop work for the day at CEE, what do you, in your own life, do to try and reduce the effects of climate change?
Yeah, that's a great question. Personally, my husband and I really prioritize living in a walkable neighborhood. So we can, skip the car and walk to the grocery store, restaurants, stores, and the like. He gets to walk to work every day. I walk down a flight of stairs to my at-home office. But that's a big part of it. We also, limit our consumption of meat. We grow a lot of food in our own garden during the summer, and we, preserve it for the winter. And we work really hard to buy locally whenever we can, and we also strive really hard to buy reused or secondhand products instead of buying new. We also, and this is not necessarily a day-to-day thing, but we really prioritize investing in our home. So we are conscious every week to put away money to do things that are investment level things in our home. And that means, we are potentially not doing another thing with that dollar on a day-to-day basis. But those are our kind of conscious efforts.
Holistic. Holistic. Define investment level for me.
Yeah, so we live in an old home, and we are constantly improving its aesthetics. But we look for opportunities to, at the same time, make energy improvements. So this past summer, we upgraded to a high-efficiency water heater. We've done some insulation work as remodeling work has allowed, and we are, preparing for other investments like replacing our central heating system. There's a lot of little things we do, though. It's not all of those big investments. We make sure that we have, energy-efficient light bulbs. We make sure our windows are properly that they're in good condition ahead of the winter, that we put plastic on the windows that are not. We, utilize our smart thermostat. We have water-saving aerators and shower heads throughout the house. So we make those smaller choices too.
So I don't know, is this fair? Investment level would be, we're talking thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And we'll say weatherization, we're talking hundreds of dollars.
Well, I would actually say that investment is weatherization, and most of the time when we're talking about those individual projects, we're talking less than $10,000.
Okay.
You can insulate your attic, you can replace a water heater for certainly less than $10,000. When you combine them and do them all at once, then I think you might be starting to talk about multiples, but you don't have to do it that way, and that's our approach at home. We're doing it one project at a time.
Right. The challenge for each of us is to shrink our carbon footprint. Less carbon dioxide is less greenhouse effect. Less greenhouse effect is less global warming. Less global warming is less climate change. We can shrink our carbon footprint by making our homes and businesses more fuel efficient. From a recent Pew Research polling, people in 17 of the world's advanced economies were asked whether they were willing to make changes in how they live and work to attenuate the effects of climate change. 80% said they were willing to change between some and a lot. Okay, case study.
Let's hear it.
Let's assume that I'm half of a young couple, and we just bought our first home. It was built in 1915. The previous owner was elderly. on a modest fixed income. He had no resources to improve the thermal performance of the home and thereby reduce the carbon footprint. Where do I begin? How do I, I knock on CEE's door, and what happens next?
Absolutely. Well, optimistically, I would say that you have a lot of opportunities for improvement. But I think as a first step, having a visit from the Home Energy Squad is a great place to start. That program is delivered jointly from Xcel Energy and CenterPoint Energy, and then CE delivers that program on their behalf. But what that does for that young couple is it gives them kind of a running punch list of those kind of investment pieces we were talking about. We'll give them a prioritized list of the highest impact project and the projects that follow that one. And that happened, the homeowners then get to take those projects and work on them after the visit. But during the visit itself, our staff will be installing things that lower those energy bills right away. Things like light bulbs, smart thermostats, weather stripping, water saving shower heads and aerators. And then they're off to the races at that point. They're already saving money on their utility bills. And then with our energy audit report, they have a pretty good roadmap for what to do next. And the assistance CE provides doesn't end with that visit. Homeowners, renters, and the like get to work with energy advisors, and they are energy experts. They're the folks I work with, and they'll help that homeowner through that first project. If they're going to focus on one thing at a time, which a lot of people do, they're going to check in with that homeowner after the visit and say, hey, the best thing you can do for making your home more energy efficient is insulating the attic. And we wrote you a quote for insulation. If you're ready, we can get that scheduled with our partnering contractors, and then they're off, then they're really on a great path. They're going to get that attic insulated, their home will be more comfortable, they'll be at less risk for ice dams, their energy bills will be lower, and they'll earn a rebate from the utility company for that work. And
now, would it be fair to say that the relationship, at all the things you just ran down, at a certain point, this young couple's relationship to CEE, are you acting like the project manager, coordinating things?
That's a great question. We can act as a guide. So we know that most people don't insulate a home more than once or twice in their life. So it's totally understandable that there's a lot of questions ahead of tackling a project like that. So we want to make sure that you get all of those questions answered, and we love providing you those answers because we're interested in having you save energy. That's our goal. We're not interested in you spending money. And so we want to make sure that if you are spending money, that you're achieving your goals, like energy savings or comfort and what have you. So we will kind of remove any barrier we can between you and completing that project. And that can be simply answering questions that you have. It can be making sure you're working with a rebate eligible contractor. It can be connecting you to lending and nonprofit financing options. It can really run the gamut. It's often a combination of all of those things.
Now, just to be clear, say the contract between the young couple just bought this house. The contract would be, say, with an insulation contractor directly, not with CEE.
Exactly.
So at that point, it would be the responsibility. So you would tell them that you have to call ahead to the insulation contractor to set up, schedule a time. So you would be, when you say guide, you would help them guide through the process of, would you provide things like reviewing a contract with them?
Absolutely, and most of the time that amounts to reviewing the estimate or the bid of work. And with our partnering contractors for installation work, we actually can schedule that appointment on behalf of the customer directly with the contractor. But they're not, depending on the project, customers aren't always using one of our partnering contractors. So then they are working directly with the contractor to set up the appointment. And in that case, we often are helping the customer compare bids, and we encourage them to get 2 or 3 bids depending on the project they're doing. And then we can say, this one looks really expensive, or this one looks totally spot on, or this one looks right, but maybe ask the contractor this question and see what they say. Because if you're going to spend a few $1,000s on your home. You want to be really confident that it's
Right.
going to solve the problem you're addressing, and we can help make sure that that's what's happening.
Okay, now, I'm imagining that all the things all the tasks that you just said that CEE is doing
Yep.
are being done by professionals, and professionals get paid by somebody.
Correct.
So where's the intersection between fees and service? What's the relationship there?
Yep. So there's a fee for the Home Energy Squad visit, and that's a basic $100 fee, and then potentially there are discounts depending on your city and whatnot, but it's $100, and then we work with the utilities to offer this advisor service. So this is all of the tasks you were referring to.
Okay, so the utilities would be paying CEE to provide the professional services
Correct.
to the young couple who just bought this house.
Yep.
They're not paying you, the utilities are. Okay. So let's see, did I catch this right, that the program, the task with the greatest bang per buck would be insulating the attic? Is that typically after the initial things of like LEDs, insulating old water heaters, stuff like that, then typically the first large project is insulating the attic?
Absolutely. It is our most common recommendation, and how I like to explain the benefits of this project is it's like going outside in the winter, and you have a coat on, but that coat isn't zippered, and so it's sort of okay. You can probably get to your car without an unzippered coat,
Right.
but insulating and properly air sealing your attic is wearing a winter coat outside with the zipper up. You're comfortable, your climate is controlled, and you are in control of, you're in control of that. And I think that's why attic insulation is such a common recommendation right off the bat.
I have this image of somebody shuffling down the street in a parka with icicles hanging off them like an ice dam.
Yep.
So we're trying to avoid that.
Absolutely.
Trying to avoid that. So let's see. What would typically, after somebody takes care of insulating the attic, what would then be a next step in making this old house more comfortable and use fuel in a more frugal way?
Yep. So the second and third projects are often insulating your walls, which can be done at the same time as your attics, but that's up to the homeowner. And then often it's looking at the heating system. And if it's not new and efficient, replacing that with a new and efficient model is generally that next project. And what's great about the trifecta of those things is then you have a heating system in your home that's producing heat in a really efficient, a really safe way, and you have a home that's really good at containing that heat. So you are a long way into having a really efficient environment in your home.
Now, ask it differently. All the folks that walk through your doors, what is the greatest misconception that people say, we want to make our home more energy efficient?
Sure.
What bad information, we'll call it? Do people walk in and thinking, oh, I guess I have to spend $100,000 on a solar domestic hot water system?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you hear people say that they think this is what they have to do?
Yeah. First, I think, solar panels are great. I think that is a step, but it's often not the first one, and I think it's where people want to start. And we like to make the argument that, solar energy is a great investment when you are in control of how much energy you need to live in your home.
Okay.
And you're in control of that when your attic and your walls are insulated, when all of your systems are efficient. And then the solar you put on your roof can cover a larger portion of your energy consumption. Sure. And if you are inefficient and have solar panels, they're doing less for you. That investment is working less diligently for you once they're on the roof. So we certainly talk people into considering those efficiency projects first. They're not as glamorous. I mean, having solar panels on your roof is a cool thing. But we talk about efficiency first, and then renewable and solar.
Now, let me, another case study to pose to you. We've got a lot of rental housing in the city of St. Paul. The knee-jerk response, I'm guessing, would be, oh, I'm a tenant. I don't pay for improvements here. Do you have any programs that you can offer just the renters,
Sure.
not the landlords, but the renters?
Yep. Renters can participate in the Home Energy Squad program. The things that are installed during that visit pay for themselves within a year. So that's, the time scale of a rental contract. So that's a great place for a renter to start.
And, okay, so now the renter has worked with the Home Energy Squad, and they would pay $100 fee?
It depends. I mean, it can be the renter. Sometimes the renters ask their landlord to pay for it. It can go either way, whatever works best for that individual situation. But there are plenty of times where the renters will pay that fee.
Okay, so now we've taken care of the young couple with an older home, and that's much more comfortable, much more energy efficient. There's some help that you can provide to renters.
Yep.
Now, what about landlords?
Landlords, yep. So they can kind of pick up where the renter leaves off in this scenario.
Okay.
So the renter gets the benefits of having those basic installs done during the Home Energy Squad visit, but we will still produce that report with a prioritized list of projects. And we always put in a good effort after the visit to be in contact with the landlord and try and see what their interest is in investing in that rental property.
Okay.
And if they're interested in doing that work, the advisor service works just like it does for everyone else for them. We can coach them through those projects. The landlord can earn the rebates from the utility, and then the property is more energy efficient and more durable.
Okay, so we've talked about home energy audits. You have shared with us a variety of steps to take from the less expensive to the more expensive. The initial audit is $100,
Yep.
and that can be tweaked according to a situation. How do we pay for this?
How does the customer pay for the visit?
I mean, they want a warmer house,
Yep.
say if we're talking wintertime.
Yep.
And we need to get more insulation into the attic. So we need some skilled tradesperson with some machines
Yep.
and some material and get that in there. That's going to cost money.
It sure is.
Now, if I don't make enough money that I can periodically save enough, have you got programs, or are there lenders you work with that can provide financing?
Yep. That's a great question. So there's a few layers to that answer. First, if you are income qualified, and what that means kind of varies depending on where you live, but if you are income qualified, you can get the Home Energy Squad visit at no cost.
Okay.
And then, again, we have that list of prioritized projects, and we can share that information and refer you to organizations that can weatherize your home at no cost to you. So that includes things like insulating your attic or your walls, replacing your heating system, upgrading your water heater. So that's a great way to start.
Okay.
If you make more money than that, you can participate in our nonprofit lending center. And this is a part of CE that I'm really proud of. They are a non-aggressive, easy to work with part of our organization, and they have nonprofit and low interest loans that anyone can take advantage of.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. And just to bring this to a close,
Sure.
if people would like to continue shrinking their carbon footprint, how can they get in touch with CEE?
Absolutely. So they can get in touch with CE and the Home Energy Squad program by calling 651-328-6220. They can also visit our website, which is mncee.org.
Well, thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Forum's guest today has been Danielle Hauck, Customer Engagement Manager with the Center for Energy and Environment. We've all heard the exhortation Carpe Diem from the Roman poet Horace. It's usually translated as seize the day or pluck the day, meaning focus on today's pleasure rather than the future consequences. Seizing the day has morphed into strangling the day. I propose a new motto. Make the day worth seizing. And finally, I have a suggestion for a meditation or prayer. Instead of using the word nature, say, my Siamese twin or my conjoined twin. If you have any comments about this series or ideas for future programs, you can post them on the Affirming Flame Facebook page. That's the Affirming Flame. I'm Heyl.